Hey, I'm recording live from SA. What's up, San Antonio? What's up, France? What's up, anywhere else you might be watching my video from? If you're coming back and you've seen my videos before, thank you for coming back. If it's your first time watching, then thank you for watching as well. Just to preface my video, again, if you've watched my videos before, you already know, but I'm a lifelong Spurs fan. I'm born and raised here in San Antonio, and I've been a Spurs fan my whole life, just like 99% of San Antonio is as well. I just want to say that I know there's a lot of bandwagon Spurs fans lately, especially with Wembanyama. Everyone sees what's coming for us. They know we're likely back on championship street soon here. But I'm just trying to make a video that's not biased comparing Tim Duncan with Victor Wembanyama as far as their sophomore seasons have gone. Again, I'm trying to not make a biased take. If I was biased towards either one of the players, it probably would be Tim Duncan, to be totally honest with you. If you've been a Spurs fan for over 20 years or over 15 years, if you've grown up here in San Antonio, you know Tim Duncan's basically like a god down here. And that's just how it is here in San Antonio. If you live here, then you definitely get it. But with that being said, I'm just going to be talking some numbers. I'm not taking a biased opinion towards either one of the guys. We'll just compare their numbers for their sophomore seasons. I'm sure people are already going to be talking about this, so I'll just let it be known that I'm going to get to it before the video is over. The pace of the game has definitely changed. The whole game is totally different from 1999 to this season. So I'm going to get into how the scoring's changed and how the game has changed before the video is over. So just bear with me for that. But we'll start off here. First thing I want to start off with is the minutes per game. So right here down low, this is going to be Wembanyama's stats down here. Wemby playing 33 minutes per game in this 2004-2025 season. Duncan, it was different times back then. Everyone was playing 40 minutes per game. There was no load management. Spurs kind of invented load management, honestly, so that's kind of funny. But we had not invented it yet at that point in time. Timmy was playing 39 minutes per game. So just to preface all the numbers I'm going to say, keep in mind Timmy was playing 6 more minutes per game. Wemby at 33, Timmy at 39. So you have the 6 more minutes per game there. And again, the pace was totally different. The game was way slower back in the 99 season, and I will get to that later in the video. But we'll start off here with points per game. Timmy, 21.7, so 22 points per game. Wemby at 25 points per game. So Wemby is scoring 3 more points per game than Tim Duncan, so we'll have to give Wemby the nod in the points per game there. All right. Turnovers per game. Both these guys, the offense pretty much completely runs through them while they're in the game. I wouldn't say it totally runs through Wemby, honestly. Chris Paul is usually the one setting things up, but Wemby's always touching the ball when he's out there on the court. A lot of things run through him. As far as Tim Duncan in the 1999 season, pretty much everything was ran through Duncan, whether it was pick and roll, was just ISO post-ups for him, whatever it was. Tim Duncan was already that guy his second season, just like Wemby is. But with that being said, what I was getting back to was basically both the guys had the ball in their hands a lot, and they were primary decision makers for their team. But with being the primary decision maker, Duncan had the 3 turnovers per game. Wemby has the 3.5, so we have to give the nod to Duncan on the turnovers. Again, both guys handle the ball a lot for their team. Wemby's still filling out his body, still learning the NBA game. So Wemby does have, almost a whole turnover more per game than Duncan. But again, he's still learning the NBA game, still learning his spots and things like that. So, he just doesn't have the basketball IQ that Duncan did at that time in his career, to be honest. Oh, another thing to mention, Duncan was 22 years old. Wemby just turned 21. So that's another thing to keep in mind here as we go through the stats. All right, Timmy D, 2.5 blocks per game, where Wemby has a 3.6. So Wemby's a whole block clear of him, so we have to give the blocks per game to Wemby. Both guys have 1 steal per game. 1.0 for Wemby, 0.9 for Duncan. So they both have the 1 steal per game there. As we get on to the blocks, 4 blocks per game for Wemby. He's just an animal out there. I can't think of anyone off the top of my head that has averaged 4 blocks per game in an NBA season. It's probably been done before. I didn't check the numbers, to be honest with you, so I have to check on that. But, of course, Wemby's a generational shot blocker. So was Timmy, 2.5 blocks per game. But, Wemby's just a freak out there. He's 1.5 whole blocks clear of Duncan, so we have to give the nod to Wemby in the blocks per game as well. 2.4 assists per game for Duncan, 3.8, so basically 4 assists per game for Wemby. So Wemby's just about an assist and a half ahead per game of Duncan as well, so we have to give Wemby the nod there. Again, we're going to get back to it. The pace is totally different, way slower pace during Duncan's 99 season. We'll get into the exact numbers, but way less field goal attempts going up, less points being scored, so less assists to be had naturally. So that number is maybe a bit swayed there. Total rebounds per game, 11.5 for Timmy, 10.8 for Victor. So Duncan's a good half of rebounds a game in front of Victor. So we have to give the nod to Timmy in the rebounds per game. Free throw percentage, 69% for Duncan. Right here, 87% from the free throw line for Wemby. So Wemby's far ahead of Duncan in the free throw attempts, or rather the free throw percentage per game. Wemby's just an excellent free throw shooter regardless of size, especially for being 7'5". It's a crazy free throw percentage, but if he was a point guard, shooting guard, 1 through 5, whatever position, you're going to take 87% from the free throw line from anybody out there. All right, moving on. Field goal percentage, Duncan 50% from the field his sophomore season, where Wemby 48% from the field, so we have to give Duncan the nod there. It's only a 1-year difference in age. Duncan was 22 that season, so about a 1-year difference in age there. But with that being said, Duncan did have the full college experience, the 4 years at college there, and his sophomore season, even as a rookie, Duncan had a full post bag. He had pretty much a full offensive bag for a big man. Big men weren't shooting threes back then, so he didn't have that. But he had his bank shot already. He would post you up, spin off you, get to his little floater bank shot in the post. He was a great pick and roll player, great pick and pop. He gets to his free throw line, his top of the key jumper, and he would knock those down all day. If you play him one-on-one, he's just going to bully guys down there, get to his hook shot. He had a left hand, he had a right hand as a rookie, and he was just developing those moves even more as a sophomore. So I wouldn't so much say Duncan had a more complete offensive game, because I guess Victor has a more, trying to explain this right, a wider range of things he can do as far as shooting the threes and going off the dribble. He had that play against Giannis the other night where he drives baseline and goes up and under with a crazy layup up and under Giannis. Duncan's not doing so many flashy things like that, but you can kind of give Duncan the ball more, and he was just a more reliable scorer back then. Again, he was putting up the 22 points per game, which isn't as much as Wemby, but as Wemby's 25. We're about to get into it as far as the pace of the game. There being less points to be scored in the 99 season, and there being less field goal attempts to be taken as well. We're about to get into that, but let's see another stat I wanted to get into. Field goal attempts per game. Wemby shooting the 19 field goal attempts per game, where Duncan was shooting the 17 field goal attempts per game. Again, I'm sure if Duncan rather was playing in 2024 with the quicker pace, he'd be taking at least 19 field goal attempts per game as well. I'm sure with those 2 extra shots that he's taking, he shoots 50% from the field. It's not rocket science. He's going to make one of those 2 shots, and he's going to be averaging more like 24, 25 points per game, which would be about the same as Wemby. So I mean, I know Duncan's numbers are lower mostly across the board. Besides for his rebounds, what else was it? His turnovers are better. They are lower, of course, but you want your turnovers to be lower. But yeah, I mean, Duncan's got him in the rebounds, and then I think that's about it. He has better field goal percentage as well. But now I'll get into it though. It's just so hard to compare because the NBA is totally different. I can't really say one guy is so much better than the other at this point in their career, even though Wemby's numbers do look better. But yeah, if we see right here, the two main things that I kind of want to look at are going to be points per game, obviously, and then also field goal attempts per game. So we see here 2024, 2025, this season, 89 field goal attempts being taken per game just throughout the whole league, 113 points per game average being scored per NBA game right now during this season. So keep that in mind. 89 field goal attempts, 113 points per game being scored. All right, now I come down to the 98-99 season, Duncan's second year in the NBA. 78 field goal attempts being taken compared to the 89. So there's 12 less field goal attempts to be taken per game. That's 12 less shots Duncan could have been taking. So if he's putting, let's even divide it. Let's divide the 12 between the two teams. So we'll just call it half of 12. 6 less field goal attempts per game for Duncan. So say he's taking the 6 more field goal attempts, he's going to be over 25 points per game, 26 points per game. Just like Wemby is if he had those extra field goal attempts. Another thing, that's 12 less shots to be rebounded. Duncan would be having more rebounds with those extra shot attempts. 12 less shots for Duncan to possibly block, so he has less block attempts. Which has his blocks lower, of course. Also, 12 less. This doesn't exactly add up, but 12 less opportunities to steal the ball. You see what I'm saying? I'm not looking at the exact possessions, but just less possessions per game, so he doesn't have chances to block. The shots to take, the steal opportunities. Just things like that. There's just less possessions to be had. That's just the field goal attempts. Now we'll get to the points per game. It was only 91.6 per game average. It was the lockout season, so it was a weird season. Only 50 games played. This is the lowest field goal percentage if you look through it that we've seen in a long, long time in the NBA. But with such a low amount of field goals being attempted, with the points per game being so low as well, for Duncan to still score, it's putting up 22 of his team's 91 points per game. I don't know the exact percentage, but that's a high percent of the points per game, where Wemby's putting 25 points out of 113 points per game. I know that's not the Spurs' exact average, but just off the NBA average there. So it's not as high of a percentage because 113 points per game being averaged today. It was 91 back then, so it's 22 points per game less to be distributed amongst the players. So I'm sure if Duncan was playing in the higher pace with those 22 points extra to be kind of distributed amongst the teams, like I was saying before, I'm sure he's averaging 25, 26 points per game with his post bag, with his IQ. I'm sure he's getting more blocks per game. I'm sure he's getting more steals. His field goal percentage probably stays the same at 50%. So he's still doing work out there as far as his field goal percentage. I see no reason that's going to go down. Might get even better with him taking more shots. Who knows? Just more opportunities for him to get shots up out there. But yeah, I can't really choose one over the other. Honestly, it's so tough. I guess this is the way that I always plug in my charger real quick. This is the way that I always word it. Sorry, excuse the close up. This is the way that I always word it as far as which player is better than which player is more valuable than which player. Um, if they switch spots, which player makes your team closer to being a championship contender? Um, if you took Tim Duncan off of that '99 Spurs team and you plugged in Wemby instead, do I think they still win the championship? Uh, I really don't know. I really don't know, to be honest. Please comment below and let me know. Let me know what you guys think. If that '99 Spurs team is better with Wemby plugged in. The game was so much more physical. Hand checking is still allowed. I just don't. I don't know how Wemby does in that physical era of basketball. But with that being said, if you plugged a sophomore year, a 22-year-old Tim Duncan into the Spurs team we have right now, do I think that we're closer to winning a championship? Um, again, I don't know. I want to say I think we're a little bit closer, just with Timmy's basketball IQ and just with the 4 years of college experience he had. Um, I don't want to say his impact on defense is bigger than Wemby's with all the blocks Wemby gets. I don't think his impact is bigger in that regard as far as being a rim protector, but I think being a one-on-one post defender, I think that Tim Duncan's impact might be a little more as far as guarding those bigger, more physical guys. Um, yeah, the game's just so different. It's just so hard to compare. But again, I'm not trying to give a biased take towards one or the other. Like I said earlier in the video, I probably lean more towards Timmy just because he's like a god here in San Antonio. Wemby's on his way to being that. We just have to start seeing our playoff success, which I'm sure is in the near future here with our Wembanyama Spurs teams going on here. But yeah, please comment below and let me know what you think. I just wanted to present some numbers, present some facts there, and just kind of compare how the NBA has changed from '99 to now, and just kind of show that comparison for both sophomore years of Timmy D and Victor Wet Bananas. Please comment below what you think. Please drop a like and subscribe if you have made it to the end of the video. And y'all have a good day, and we'll see you guys again next time.